Welcome to episode 186 of the podcast, a member of the Odd Pods Media Network. Listen in as we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics. I'm Tina Hadamiya.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
Hillary!
Hi! Hi! So we tried to record this morning very early. What was that, 8:30?
Yeah.
And the next thing I knew, there was roofers at my door coming up to do work. I was like, oh, I didn't know y'all were working on Saturday. Oh, Tina, we're going to have to postpone.
Full day.
Yeah, they just finished. We got back here at 6 or 6:30. Yeah, they did. Good. Listen, I need it. I need it done. I'm excited about this roof getting done.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing. Next step's homeowners insurance renewal, and I'll be set. So I've gotten some quotes I was telling you. It's like right between what I had like 2 years ago and what I have now. So it's like if this numbers can work out, I might be good. You know, there's like light at the end of the tunnel of all of this.
Yay.
So, and I put in my stories today on my personal Instagram, I was just telling Tina that Ileana Glazer, who was on Broad City, and she's done activism and stuff, and she was screaming about, you know, the strike and how these executives at these Hollywood, you know, movie studios think that they can use AI to replace actors. Like that's how out of touch they are with reality, as far as like they don't eat with regular people, they don't fly with regular people, they don't sweat with regular people. They're just so far removed from like everyday society. And that's my perfect description of how I would talk about the legislators. You know, these Republican legislators and Governor DeSantis himself don't really understand the struggle that they have put Floridians in. And I feel like what we know now is like the tip of the iceberg. Like what's about to happen with this and the effects of the homeowners insurance increase and the amount of homes, like you're trying to sell your house right now, but there's not a lot of homes on the market. Like there was the boom because there was only a few houses for sale. I think there's about to be a lot more houses for sale, and it's going to shift the market here. Yeah, and it's going to shift the market, meaning you'll have to bring your price down because there'll be so many people, you know, so supply and demand, right? Yeah. So it's a reality for so many people, and it's terrifying, and I just don't think it's really reached its peak yet, and we're about to go down this hole.
And we're about to head into hurricane season, and so
like I can't believe
that's going to be
we're in
we are in but then we're at the time where really like the storms start coming.
That's what scares me about my roof being open.
Once we get into August, you know?
Who the fuck replaces a roof during hurricane season? Hillary Doherty.
Lord.
So I don't know. It's a crazy time. It's a crazy time, and I do see it all over the place. And there is a drive I've noticed on Twitter with Democrat legislators here from Florida. Every time DeSantis does something, they retweet it, and they're like, wish he cared more about homeowners insurance than whatever goofy fucking thing he's doing now. His numbers are in the toilet. It is an incredible thing to watch. It really, really is incredible to watch.
I mean, he's such a loser.
He just is so, it's incredible to think he thought his popularity here was going to extend across nationally. Yeah. He thought the policies, and I was telling Tina this morning that, you know, if you live in California or Nebraska or Michigan or New York and you're watching the news, the only information you have about DeSantis are look at this crazy thing they just did in Florida, right? Yeah. So that's the information that y'all are getting out there. And then he comes to your town, and then you can see that he's this like awkward, uncomfortable, like no personality. In politics, to not have a personality is death. It's a death wish.
And he is liked here, but there are a lot of Trump lovers here too, and they don't like him. So he's battling that too. He's battling, like, you know, of course, the Dems that can't stand him, but he's also battling like Trump's base who can't stand him, and radio hosts who like talk shit about him all the time. So, you know,
but P.S., this is the other crazy thing that I read about his campaign this week. They don't know what to do about the Trump situation, because DeSantis is like, he shouldn't be charged with anything for January 6th.
Because he's trying to kiss ass with those people.
Because this is the craziest thing. The polls about Trump, he becomes more likable every time he's charged. The base likes him more when he's charged with crimes.
He's a martyr because he's a martyr. He is a martyr.
So
It is
like the government's coming after him, the bad guy, the big bad government, right? Meanwhile, he's running for president, which is the head of the big bad government. But we'll put that aside for a second.
Well, no, but then remember, there's still the people that believe that Trump is really president.
Yeah.
And that, you know, did you hear that? That Trump is really president.
Yeah. Listen,
I don't remember if I said this last week or not, but that Hillary, the reason why... like gas prices are high and all interest rates and this and that is because that's what would have happened under Hillary.
Yeah.
And so Trump, as secret president, is making all of this inflation and all this stuff happen so that we can feel what it would be like if Hillary was president. And then when he comes in as like the public president, then everything goes back to normal. So it's just like to kind of show us what things could be like.
Just the 2 minutes it took you to, or the 1 minute it took you to explain that, I'll never get back in my life. Could you imagine there's people who actually walk around and believe this?
I believe it.
But because Trump gets more popular, because Trump becomes more popular, the more he's charged,
DeSantis
that means DeSantis can't attack him and go, look at how he's a criminal, look at this, because it makes DeSantis look bad to the base. Yeah. So they are trying to figure out you're wonky. The people you need to vote for you are fucking nuts.
Yeah.
They are nuts. You know? It's the wildest fucking thing I've ever seen. But it is, I am grateful to know, I know I live in Florida and it really sucks. And I hate that. I think I tweeted this last week. Like, I don't know why Florida bought his bullshit and the rest of the world doesn't. What is different about Florida voters that bought into his utter bullshit? And when he takes that same bullshit across state lines, it doesn't fly.
It doesn't work.
What the fuck is that?
But
I'm grateful. I'm grateful y'all aren't buying his bullshit. Thank you. Thank you very much. The other thing about Trump, let's talk about Trump and like now these new charges that came out Thursday night. Thursday night, it came out that they are adding additional charges because this dumb motherfucker...
He talks too much.
He talks too much!
From New York.
Yeah.
He should know to keep his mouth shut.
Keep your mouth shut!
He talks so much.
He loves it. He fucking loves it, bro.
He's like the example of like sticking your foot in your mouth. Like, look it up, there's Trump's picture.
He's the one who buys the Cadillac and the fur jacket for his wife in Goodfellas. And the guy goes, what are you doing? To return it. Bobby D's like, return that shit, right?
Yes.
Same thing. Because he gets charged with, now he's got crimes racking up where he could get 140 years in prison.
Please, for the love of God.
This man's about to have
the love of God.
He's about to be involved in the next 6 months, but in between 4 and 6 trials. This is like Chris Christie.
And they're still trying to push it off till after the election.
And Chris Christie said he's Chris Christie said he's a one-man crime wave. Anyway, these crimes
from Chris Christie.
I know. Anyway, this guy, they've got him with notes and everything else talking about delete security camera video. From Mar-a-Lago where they were moving the boxes around.
Moving boxes and like straight up like just talking to people on the golf course about like classified information. Yeah. It is bonkers.
There's a guy that's now charged who's like this fucking, I don't know, a helper at Mar-a-Lago. He was moving the documents and he was asking him to delete the video. And I don't know if he deleted any of it, but he's now also charged with something because he's involved in all of this. Because his boss asked him to do something. And everybody's making a paycheck.
But people may not know. Like, he might go, okay, I guess I can delete that. Like, if he doesn't know what it's connected
Of course not. It's his boss. People need to work. What is he going to do? Come on, man.
And if that guy ends up in jail and Trump doesn't, my God.
So, what do you want to go to now? What do you got? We still haven't hit anything on my list.
I was just going to talk about with DeSantis and his campaigning. We talked about the state vehicles on the campaign tour.
No, we didn't. We talked about that.
This morning we talked about it. So, he's going around. He got in an accident
in Tennessee.
And it's a state vehicle. So he's using state funded money for his campaign, which is illegal. Yeah. But he created a law where he doesn't have to report how he's spending money. Yeah. It's set,
or how he's traveling. He doesn't have to share
in the Sunshine State. Yeah. We have no sunshine here. Yeah. There's no transparency.
It's against you cannot use state vehicles on campaign business. Those are supposed to be two different things. This is why
it's illegal.
But this is why Florida had a little law called Resign to Run. Where you run for office and it clears the decks. So you none of your shit is involved in your government office. You don't use staff. You don't use money. You don't.
Right.
No, not fucking DeSantis. He had his fucking goons in the legislature change the law. And he gets into a car accident in Tennessee, which is a few states away from Florida, in a government fucking vehicle. And we never would have known unless somebody started to do some digging, because we didn't have to find out. He's a criminal, and he's trying to do criminal things.
And nobody does anything.
No, we can't, because the law was changed. What are we supposed to do? All right.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was Mitch McConnell.
Yes, okay, good, because that's on my list.
Oh my God, dude. Mitch McConnell, but my favorite thing about the frozen Mitch McConnell was a girl with a microphone, who we had on our show as a guest. She made a video of it, and she dubbed over it with the Wizard of Oz, and it like zooms in on Mitch McConnell, and it's like, royal can. That's all that people are like, when they come out, they're like, what is he saying? You know, it's so funny.
Oh my God.
It's so funny. It's so funny. And I don't care. You know, I mean, listen, I would not wish bad health on anybody. But this man, just like Dianne Feinstein, just like Nancy Pelosi, just like, you know, we are both sides of the aisle here. It comes to a certain age, you need to go away. And the other hypocrisy of this Republican Party is like, Joe Biden trips. Oh my God, he's incoherent. We got to get rid of him. He can't serve. He can't serve. I mean, the slightest thing that Joe Biden does, he stutters. Oh my God, oh my God. This guy froze and had a mini stroke or seizure or something. Something fucking happened. But do you hear anyone saying that Mitch McConnell's got to go? The same people that are saying it, the same people that say it about Pelosi or anyone on the Dem side, they can't ever do it both ways.
They're saying it very quietly, because now I've seen stories leak that say that these Republicans that are there are very concerned about McConnell. Like, they are now seeing that this is an issue. Now, I contend with, I've watched that video 50 fucking times because I am shocked by it. It's shocking to watch.
Yeah.
It is.
It's like you can tell something has happened.
And also, we live in a very polite society. Like, if that was my boss, I'd be like, we need to call for help. Right? And so I'm sure they called for a doctor to come and see him.
Or maybe there was a doctor in the back already. You could
see the people around him, like behind him, who were just like
oh, shit.
They know something was going on. And this man...
They were very calm.
He is like the fourth highest person in our government. Right? It's like, it's president, vice president, speaker of the House, and then the head of the Senate. Am I crazy? This guy is like fourth in line.
Can you imagine?
And also, our country's kind of on the brink. Like, it's not doing that great.
And Mitch McConnell is the cause of a lot of problems.
Yeah, so, and I saw that on Twitter too. Oh, we shouldn't mock someone's health. Let me tell you something.
But he's destroyed our country.
He is someone
our judges, our fucking SCOTUS.
Yeah, he is someone who has also created harm to millions and millions of people. He single-handedly made it a point to cause harm to people. Go fuck yourself. If he had died at the podium, I would have pissed on the flowers that they sent to his grave. Seriously, fuck you. Fuck you. All due respect to your family. I'm sure he has children and grandchildren. No. God bless.
I mean, maybe he's nice behind closed doors.
But on purpose, in the daylight, he causes harm.
You're going to go down in history as a horrible person. Yeah.
And you want to die in office? By the way, is this how you want to die?
I know.
And in office? Get the and then 2 days before this, Dianne Feinstein is trying to vote on a budget, and she's confused, and she's reading from this paper, and she starts to read this whole thing, and someone next to her is going, her aide or whatever is going, just say aye, just say aye. Someone had to come up next to her and say, you just need to say aye. She goes, oh, I don't need to read this whole thing. Okay, aye.
No,
because somebody's not how because it's this now. This is Dianne Feinstein.
No.
This Dianne Feinstein and fucking Mitch McConnell. Go home and get a fucking take a nap. It's done. We're done now. Get the fuck out. It's so fucking infuriating.
Listen. If she's voting aye on something that's good, great. However, that's not how she should be voting. There should not be someone in her ear telling her what to say.
These are not lifetime. These are not lifetime positions. It's in public. You're not even trying to hide it. Go home. Go away.
Outrageous.
This is not
that vote shouldn't even count, frankly.
And these jobs should not exist for this long. This is not a lifetime position. Retire. Have you anybody in fucking government ever heard the word retire? Get the fuck out.
Turn limits.
It pisses me off so bad.
Limits. We have term limits for everything on the municipal level and these other levels. Why can't we do it in the Senate?
Or the House.
Why can't we? I don't understand what
I don't
is
either.
wrong.
But y'all need to get it together.
It's lobbyists. It's all of the money. Money. Fuck it.
Die, Mitch McConnell. All right.
The other thing that I thought was funny, and I'm going to try to pull it up on my phone, was the fight between Eric Swalwell and Kevin McCarthy.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So I just wanted to read about it. So basically, they were sort of basically they got in each other's faces, right? And they're fighting. And someone said they were basically nose to nose. And Swalwell said, "Are we really going to do this?" And then they kept arguing. McCarthy puffed up his chest, threatened physical violence again. And McCarthy says to him, "Call me a pussy again and I'll kick your ass." Swalwell, never afraid to stand up to fascist bullies, looks him in the eye and says, "You are a pussy." He is the best.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, and then they stared each other down and like that's kind of how it went. Yeah.
You know,
isn't that a great little story?
It's like dudes and their dicks, like in the schoolyard. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh my!
I never heard that. That's really good. There's a local story that I'm dying to tell you about. We were just at a party and I was telling everybody, did you hear this story? Did you read this in the paper?
Yeah,
did you see this? So last week, July 22nd, there's this article buried like 4th or 5th page in the paper about this little city called Tamarack that's in Broward County. It's a little tiny retirement community. It's basically older people. There's a commissioner there who's always in the news. I mean, always. Every time I see Tamarack, I go, I know Marlon Bolton is going to be mentioned in this. He's always in the paper for shenanigans.
Wow.
And somehow he gets out of this one, he gets out of that one. It is the wildest fucking place. And there's Tamarack, and I knew he'd be involved. This is like, nobody's reading this story, and it's melting my brain, okay? Because it's like no one's looking, but I don't know.
Well, you make a good point about it being buried because, like, front page news is like sports and like crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the stuff that should be front page news.
At least in the Sun Sentinel, it's here. This is happening here.
Yeah.
So basically, in Tamarack, there's a neighborhood called Shaker Village. It's a townhouse community. It's like 350 homes, and it's a private townhouse. Right? And in this townhouse, or in this community, they have a clubhouse. So I think it was like 2015, a hurricane came through, blew the roof off this thing. It's in terrible shape. They file a claim with the insurance company, right? And they get back, let me just make sure I get the number right, because I think it's $397,000. Let me see. They get back $397,934.64 from their insurance claim to fix the building.
Now, who gets that? The city?
No.
The community?
The community, who they probably have an association that they have insurance, right? And they file this claim. They get $397,000 back. They didn't do anything. They never fixed the clubhouse.
So
it's sitting there with.
So then that's
look at
where.
this picture.
Who is the board?
Look at this picture. No roof. Okay. So
the board of the HOA board, someone's got to look into that because where is the money?
Happens. So here's what happens. Somehow, I don't even know how it started, but it's now done, that the city of Tamarack is going to purchase this property where the clubhouse where it's sitting.
It's a finished deal?
It is done. They purchased it for $2 million of taxpayer money. And it's got to be demolition. It's got to be completely torn down. And they're going to rebuild a clubhouse that's also slash a rec center for the city of Tamarack.
Wait a minute. Okay. The city bought the clubhouse, or they bought
the property that the clubhouse is sitting on, and the clubhouse.
Okay, so like the land that the townhouses are sitting on.
Not the townhouses, just the clubhouse.
Okay.
Because they're going to rebuild this clubhouse.
Community.
Yes.
So how are residents outside of the gated community going to come in?
It's going to be used,
and use the rec center?
It's because it's going to be used by both. It's like both people who live in Tamarack are allowed to use it.
But what's the point of the gated community?
Listen, I have no idea.
You know what I mean?
I've never
Like,
heard of anything like this.
Walk in, you got to show your license and say, I'm a resident
Probably.
of Tamarack and I can get in here.
Maybe.
And then what? That's more security and that's more...
Do you think that they've actually thought that out? Like,
and then how are they...
Because here's the kicker.
How big is that townhouse?
Because
that
here's
clubhouse?
the kicker.
This is like a clubhouse for a... Like at a condo association, there's probably a pool table and like, you know, a bookshelf. And you know what I mean? Like, how many people can it hold?
The thing was here's another thing about it. There's so many things in this. I know it sounds like, maybe it sounds a little bit weird that I'm talking about Tamarack so much, but it was appraised at $1.25 million. They paid $1.94. Like, they overpaid for it. And the mayor, Michelle Gomez, is quoted as saying, the math doesn't add up for smart spending on behalf of the city. Like, she's blasting this plan, but it passed. Like, and it's also so small, like 50 feet. It's like 100
it from?
The association.
Now they got the 300 whatever.
Yes,
thousand,
and
now
this
they
1
got
million.
This other. So now they have a lot of money they're sitting on.
But here's the craziest part. Here's the kicker. Vice Mayor Marlon Bolton, who sits on the commission, lives in the community. He's lived there in two different ways. He first lived in a townhouse he bought there, right? And then he moved out of that and moved into another townhouse there that the church where he's a reverend or whatever, they bought the townhouse and he rents it from them. That's another way he gets money. He's
renting out his original townhouse?
I don't know. No, I don't think he even has that anymore. He's now renting a townhouse the church bought for him there. So he's benefiting directly.
Did he vote?
He was allowed to vote in it.
Oh, no.
This doesn't make any sense. And now the county's inspector general is demanding records surrounding the deal, including, quote, any and all communications, which is emails and text messages, between Vice Mayor Marlon Bolton and city employees discussing the city's purchase of this clubhouse and the land. Because it doesn't make sense of why this person was allowed to vote on this.
Oh my God.
It makes no sense. Wow. This is wild to me. And also, he's very controversial because he runs this church and he says wild shit at this church. He says it's a church that's at like a storefront. You know what I mean? I think he's paid through that. He also, remember, he was hired at the commission as an aide at the county commission for one of these commissioners. I forgot.
Oh, and then
is it Rogers? Estelle Rogers?
I don't remember.
What's something? Hazel Rogers, I think, is a Broward County commissioner. And so he was hired as her aide, and then it was in the paper that they never put out, you have to go through steps to hire somebody, and one of the things is you have to announce that the position exists.
Oh, no, you have
right?
to put that in.
They never did that. They just hired him. Yeah. So then they had to fire him. He had to reapply the right way. They had to put the job up. He reapplied the way, and they hired him again. So he works for the county commission, which is now, the county inspector is going to look into this deal. He's a county vice mayor of a city. He's a fucking reverend over here. He's got his goddamn clubhouse being bought out by the city of Tamarack. What the fuck is going on?
What is going on?
He's got a lot of moving and shaking going on. And every time at the end, if we find out he never should have done these things, and nobody does anything about it. He's got his hand in too much shit.
Who would be the person to investigate this?
Well, I guess the county. But they're overpaying for it. Somebody was like, where's this $400,000 y'all got?
Who wrote up the deal?
I don't know. Maybe the city attorney?
Wow.
I have no idea. Anyway, it blows my mind that nobody's talking about this. This is a wild, mucky story right here happening in front of our eyes. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Do you have anything else political?
No.
Can I tell you about Barbenheimer?
Oh, yes. Tell me all about it.
So I saw Oppenheimer first. Amazing, incredible, everything that I dreamed of and more. Like, just the greatest fucking movie. So, and Cillian Murphy was like the tits. But here's some things I realized that happened in the movie that I didn't realize. First is like, remember when he poisoned? Okay, you didn't see it. In the movie, he poisons
Spoiler alert.
He poisons an apple that's on his professor's desk. He puts cyanide in it, and he leaves it on the desk because he embarrassed him in front of the class.
Wait, is this true?
So
or is this speculation?
I read about that when I was doing the story, and it said that it couldn't be verified, and so I was like, I'm not including this in my story. And then it happened in the movie, and I was like, oh, that isn't verified. And then I read this week that Oppenheimer's grandson is told Christopher Nolan, because it was in the movie's based on a book about Oppenheimer, and it's in the book as this was speculated, right? But Christopher Nolan put it in the movie, and his grandson told him, please do not do this. It makes him look really crazy that he would kill his teacher. And it's not verified. And it's not verified anywhere, so don't include it. He put it in the movie. So I don't know if that should be in there. Second of all, I didn't know that Hitler was dead before we dropped the bomb. And I also didn't know that Japan was, like, on the ropes. So, like, we could have won the war without dropping these bombs. And also, in the movie, they show that there were many scientists at all these different locations, the Chicago location, Los Alamos, all these, the ones that were all working on the bomb stuff, that were signing petitions for the government saying, do not do this. And he took this information to them saying,
let's not do this.
We not necessary.
The power, we have the ability, let's not do it.
And they were like, we've just spent $1 billion building this thing. We're dropping it. Like, that basically was what the government was doing. Like, we just spent all this money.
But you don't have to. So what? Spend the money. Now you know the technology. Now you know how it works. Now you can perfect it or figure it out or see how incredibly damaging it could be, especially when they did the testing.
Right.
And the
that should have been enough. The Trinity test should have been enough to tell the whole world, like, we can do this thing. So it's really disappointing, and the movie does a very, very, very good job of, if you listen to that episode that when we covered him, that showed the torture of it all, and
the one thing I read about it that I thought was cool was the cinematography and the moving between black and white and color. And that I don't remember the order because I haven't seen the movie, but that the black and white maybe was introspective and like a first person perspective, and then color was like an objective third person view.
And also it's a time change. Like the hearings that he was in, and he had to answer for himself, and he was going to lose his security clearance and all of these things after the bomb was dropped. They put him through hell, and especially that Levi Strauss was the one that really, really fucked him over. And Barbie,
I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Okay, now. So. You didn't like it?
I don't know. I wasn't. I mean, I liked it, but I was telling you this, that it just felt like there was a, down with the patriarchy, which I'm fucking here for.
Yes,
but also, like, I know all about that already, so I felt like it was preaching to the choir. Like, I don't need to hear that I live in a man's world. I fucking know it every day. So I wondered if, like, this was to get across to an audience that doesn't sit in rooms with us, that there's this other reality for people, and, like, to see that this is a world that we live in, and that...
Who is the target audience for this? Because Barbie, is it supposed to be for, like, younger, young adults? Is it for adults? It's not for kids. I have
to tell you, I can't figure that out.
It's not for
because
young
mom,
kids,
my mom brought my 5-year-old niece, and so after I saw it, I go, how did she sit through this? And she's like, well, we were, like, getting snacks a lot. I was like, there's no way.
So it wasn't kid friendly. Like, it wasn't for little kids.
I honestly don't know how. I don't know how. Unless it's a message that
like a young adult, maybe more teen young adult.
I guess so.
For everybody.
But it was very... Okay, God, please forgive me.
What is the
Please
rating?
Forgive me, feminist.
Is it like a PG?
I don't know. Oh. It's very preachy. That's how I felt.
Oh,
it was
really?
very preachy in a way that I was like, I didn't appreciate. I don't know.
Because like you were being taught, like, oh, the audience is dumb and we need to, like...
Yeah, like, to me, they were pointing out some of the most obvious things a woman in this world knows this is a thing. Why are you telling me this again? Like, I already know.
There's young girls who are in conservative
but why are you making a Barbie movie for them? Like, can't you just make a fun movie? Can I just see a fun movie? I don't know. And there's this great speech by America Ferrara, who's in the movie. She's not a Barbie, but she's like a character in the movie.
I think I saw part of that speech.
It's a fucking great speech, but also it's like, it's the same kind of memes that you've seen on the internet for the last 10 years. Like, all right, is this a Facebook meme that my, second cousin twice removed put up on Facebook with some hearts and like, that's right, you go girl, like that kind of thing. And I'm just like, all right. I don't know. I was expecting something else.
So did it just feel sort of trite? And
it did. To me, it was just like, I got it. I know. And then also I'm trying to consider that maybe it's because I'm tired of all this bullshit too. You know what I mean? Like, I know all of this and I'm tired of talking about it.
Barbie, where were you 10 years ago?
Yeah. But here's the thing. Of course, the best part for me was Ryan Gosling. He was so fucking funny. He was so campy. He was so cute. He was singing. He was dancing. He saved the movie for me. Because Ken was just like so excited when he got to the human world. I mean, spoiler alert. Oh. When he gets to the human world, he's like, it was so man. He was like, I can do anything. Like, he was so fucking excited. Like, we would probably be if we went to Barbie world and women ruled everything, right? Like, that's kind of what they were showing you. Okay. Like, he comes to the human world, he's like, men are in charge. Like, he was so fucking excited. And so he was, to me, he was the best part. But
well, I'm definitely going to see it
when
it comes on TV.
Yeah.
And then we'll debrief.
But Oppenheimer to me was like, yeah. But that's my gig. I fucking love that kind of shit.
Well, you love history and yeah.
So I don't want to start or end without saying something about Sinead O'Connor.
Oh.
Because I was devastated.
Yeah.
Devastated. I will never forget when she tore that picture up.
I watched it. We all watched it.
Yeah.
I have to say, like, I mean, our generation, like, that was...
Yeah, it was incredible.
And I remember my mom and dad's reaction.
My mother was furious.
My mom, I don't think my mom was too mad, but my dad didn't get it. You know what I mean? Like, he just sees the Pope.
I remember my mom being very upset. I think.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mom. I'm sure you're listening.
I'll have to ask my mother, but I can't I can't really gauge my mom's reaction. But I remember my dad commenting about it because everybody liked that Pope too.
Yeah, but my God, he oversaw the worst of these scandals. I mean, he covered up so many things.
I was just listening to a podcast, and it was a story that took place in like the 60s, and it was a priest that like raped and killed this woman.
My God.
Right? But it took 40 years before.
Was this in Baltimore?
I don't remember where it took place. But it took 40 years to catch him. But he had assaulted someone in another parish. They moved him to the parish where this woman was killed. He had then almost stopped someone on the street, a 20-year-old. So then they put him in this monastery. And in the monastery, it's like where they put the worst of the worst priests who are like violent and rapists and pedophiles and all that shit. And then they put him in charge.
Oh my God.
And then they did these exercises with him because he had this whole thing where he's like, if I see a woman kneeling, like, I have this urge to just want to go up behind them and strangle them and, like, attack them. So then they would put women in front of him. And he goes, oh, no, I don't feel like strangling her. Okay, well, you're cured. And they send him back out.
No!
Yes. And then, like, then he ends up, like, leaving the priesthood and getting married. And then they finally catch it. Like, finally, it took 40 years because the church just kept moving. And then I was thinking, so there's a monastery that they sent evil men to and kept them and then just moved, like... Just kick them out. I don't understand why they couldn't just excommunicate these men and throw them out.
They think they can save people.
Oh my God. It was horrific. And she was one of the first people back then because that's when people were just starting to talk about that shit.
But they had been talking about it in Ireland. That was the thing. America, we weren't talking about it like they were then. In Ireland, it was a huge case. It was a huge thing that was happening there. And that's why that country is basically not Catholic anymore.
Yeah.
Is because of all of these scandals and the things that happened. That's how they were able to make abortion legal recently.
Right.
Because they have turned so many people away. So many families were devastated by what was happening in the churches to their children. And she was a hero to them. When she did that, she's like, you know, made herself a hero for history in that country, for standing up and speaking. America wasn't ready for it. And, you know, the following week, Joe Pesci
Yes,
hosted.
I was just going to say that. And he was like, I would have kicked her in the face.
Yeah, I would have slapped her in the face if she did that. It was a very quick thing that people backlashed against her. And, you know, this was the 90s. It wasn't that fucking long ago that we were not calling out the church.
And fucking Joe Pesci, like, I get it. Goodfellas, I get it. I get who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, you know,
I'm sure he goes to church.
Actor,
yeah.
And I'm sure that, like, that's all rooted in, like, he's Catholic, like, all of that rooted together. But you're going to go on stage and say you're going to slap some 20-year-old girl? You know what I mean? And then the whole audience, like, applauded it. That wouldn't fly today. It's just, you know, that's the other thing, too. Like, thinking about, like, in our lifetime, like, that was something that was so shocking. But if someone did it today, we'd be like, oh, okay, of course.
And it wasn't until people like Sinead O'Connor said...
Right.
What's happening in these churches is wrong. you could tell that something had happened to her, right? Like, you could tell that she had gone through it.
Yeah, well,
like her hair
she was abused.
Yeah, her hair wasn't short like that for like a reason. She wanted to make herself not sexual.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a beautiful woman.
She was gorgeous,
but she just did not want to feed into the femininity of it all. You know what I mean? She wanted to distance herself from any sort of sexualization of herself, her body, her music, her everything.
And it's a shame. And it was like she's blacklisted. You know what I mean?
And the other thing
and
that's
she
come
was
out,
like, she didn't care.
Yeah, I know.
She's
and
like,
the
I
other
don't
thing,
give a shit. I don't care.
Yeah, the other thing that came out that I read over on Twitter and Facebook everywhere, like all of these hip hop artists at the time in the 90s, you know, hip hop wasn't recognized at the Grammys at the time. Like, there was a community that, again, was coming up.
Right.
And she was a huge advocate for them and would bring them on tour or go on stage with them. And she was really this huge advocate for hip hop artists and supporting them, like, huge. Like, Flavor Flav.
Oh,
and all of these guys from these bands were just like, you have no idea how much she was a huge proponent of them and supporter. Like, to me, that, again,
that's giving me goosebumps.
Yeah, she's an incredible person.
That's
incredible person.
It's a shame.
Or even Chris Christopherson, who came out on the stage, you know, the following week. She was at this, like, I forgot whose birthday it was. Somebody's birthday. Oh, Bob Dylan's birthday or some sort of anniversary. Right. And she came out on stage, and it was a week after the SNL thing. And she, in Madison Square Garden, she's getting booed. And some people are cheering. Most of them are booing. And she just stood there. And she was supposed to sing a song, and Chris Christopherson came over to her and put his arm around her and whispered something in her ear like, don't let them bring you down, blah, blah, blah. He wrote a song about her called Sinead's Song or something. It's fucking incredible how this brave girl stood up against everything. It's incredible. You have to go hear this song. It's wild. And she then took the fucking headphones out of her ears and started screaming into the microphone some, like, you know, the thing she said was like a Bob Dylan song when she at the SNL, like, fight the real enemy. Yeah. That was a Bob Dylan. She was doing, not Bob Dylan, Bob Marley. Oh, okay. She was doing a Bob Marley song.
Oh no, she did. It wasn't Fight the Enemy. War, wasn't it? War.
Yeah, War. Is that Bob Marley?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she was doing. But I thought she said in it, fight the real enemy or something. Maybe she said it at the end. But, like, this to me is what heroes are made of. This is how you stop bullshit. By stepping up and saying, like, this to me is what activism looks like.
Yeah.
You don't care about what your reputations are going to be, who's going to look at you funny in a room, who's not going to talk to you anymore. When you stand up and say, these things are wrong, you're doing the wrong thing, you're here for the wrong reasons, that is what we're supposed to do, because change doesn't happen until you start speaking the fucking truth. It doesn't change. It could be the smallest thing, but shit will not change until we actually stand up and not think about our egos and our pride and our positions in places and start actually talking about how we're supposed to do things around here. I gotta tell you, I'm very confused because the Florida Democratic Party has now announced a $1 million investment in voter registration. And from what I understood, they weren't doing voter registration anymore because of all the fines that can happen, right? So what are we doing for $1 million? I know Nikki Fried's going to go all across the state and she's going to encourage people to vote and encourage people to get out there and get involved. But I want to know what the plan is. If we're not doing paper vote registration anymore,
QR codes,
what are we doing? Know. Is it
getting people to do it themselves?
Per county? They're going to each come up with their own plan? What's the plan? I love that you're going to invest $1 million in this. I'm fucking stoked, dude. Yeah. But when I read that press release, when I went to the website, I don't see any fucking plan except that they're going county to county. Who are you talking to? Are you going to DEC meetings? Because I got news for you. Those people already vote. And that's it. So where are we going where people aren't voting? Where are we going where people aren't registered? Because it can't be going to DEC meetings. It just can't be going to the local party. That's not how this is gonna fucking work. Also, don't ask me what I'm doing. Okay? That's another fucking thing that's burning my ass today. Oh, well, what are you gonna do? We did our fucking time.
Well, we do a lot. I feel like
you do everything. I don't do shit. And on purpose.
Stuff.
On purpose.
Hillary, you were out there getting petitions signed a couple weeks ago.
Fine.
That's giving your time.
That's right. I want the petition things to happen. I want that to happen. But I think that everybody who's like, where is everybody? We need to do stuff. I think you all need to take a step back for a second. Because if somebody's not as involved as they used to be, there's probably a reason. People's lives change. Things happen. We can only give so much time. We are full-time working mothers, right? We dedicated years of our lives. And this is probably the third week in a row, and I'm going to say it again on the podcast. Under my watch, DeSantis was reelected twice. Under my watch, abortion went to 6-week abortion ban. Under my watch, slavery is now being taught as a benefit to slaves. That all happened under what I was doing as activism. There's a lot of things that happened in this state that all went down the fucking hill when I was involved in activism. And you want me to give more of my time where my family crumbled around me? I didn't see my children basically for 6 fucking years of their life. You want me to give more time? Show me a plan that I can believe in. Show me where I can invest my money that I can believe in those people and where I think something actually good is going to happen. Show me candidates that deserve my time and attention and money. Show them to me. Don't look to me to help you when what the work that I was involved in didn't really move the needle, in my humble opinion. That's how I feel. Don't make people feel like shit because they're not as involved. I can't do that anymore. There's plenty of people that could be doing more. Don't look at me and don't look at Tina, because we put our fucking time in. We are doing what we can. I can't speak for Tina, but I purposely took a step back from everything because my time now goes to my children. The end. The end. I don't owe you or anybody else anything. I don't owe them anything. And until I feel like the party doesn't have their boot on my fucking neck, then I might come back and get involved. But the party, it's got their boot on their neck. You really can't be successful. They don't allow you to be successful. So no. I love and care about everybody who's doing it. I'm glad, I'm happy that their people are there. I know they need more people.
Doing good work.
I know they need more people. I also need to be with my children. I need to be doing this. I'll support candidates personally, but I'm not getting involved in doing anything, and especially when I don't see a real fucking plan. We need voters registered.
Yeah.
And I want to know where they're going to do it. That's all I'm asking. Where is that happening? Tina, do you have a story, or are you going to let me just bury myself in this hole?
All right, ready?
Yes.
Today, I'm going to tell you the story of the US Dakota War of 1862.
Oh my gosh.
So the Dakota people expected the US to honor and respect several peace treaties.
First mistake.
But when those promises were broken, a devastating war erupted, leading to tragic consequences. So our story takes place in Minnesota in 1862, and this is like in the middle of the Civil War. And this land was primarily occupied by the Dakota, who are also known as the Sioux. But in the 1800s, white settlers, kept making their way westward. And as they did, they settled and they tried to claim land that wasn't theirs to claim. And according to the Zinn Education Project, they kept pushing the Sioux out. So as the settlers entered Minnesota, under the government of the U.S., right, they drafted these peace treaties that were supposed to provide food and other supplies as partial payment for giving up their land. So they're like, okay, we're going to give you this land for X amount of money, which was paltry sums, but we're also going to give you food and supplies and these other things. And the blog Native Hope offered more info. So basically, in 1851, there was a treaty called the Treaty of Traverse des Sioux, and that restricted the Sioux lands to only a 20-mile wide by 150-mile long strip. So what they had prior to that was about the size of New York State.
Oh my God.
And then they're reduced to 20 miles wide, which is not long.
For what, some food? I mean, this
and
is what
150 miles long, right?
Jesus.
And they sold it for 12 cents an acre, okay? And there were about 8,000 of the Sioux that had to move into that tiny strip of land because they were spread out, of course, right? But then when the Civil War happens, food supplies, right, that were promised are in short supply because those food and those supplies are now focusing on funding the war, okay? And there was very little sympathy for the Dakota, for the Sioux. In fact, upon hearing about how the Sioux were starving and hungry, there was a trader, that was, trading food and things like that in the area named Andrew Myrick, who the Dakota people went to try and get food on credit because they were starving. And he said, quote, "If they're hungry, let them eat grass or their own dung."
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, major incident. After one too many broken promises, the Sioux rose up and they attacked a settlement. And they killed close to 500 settlers in this attack. And a chief named Little Crow backed the war. And the war lasted 6 weeks. It was a 6-week-long war in the middle of the Civil War, right? And according to a Reuters article, besides the killing of the settlers, several hundred settlers were taken hostage. So they went in. So the other thing I found interesting, a little side note here, the eat the grass guy, he was found dead and his mouth was stuffed with grass. They took care of him.
Oh my God.
Took care of him.
I guess they could understand English.
So, meanwhile, settlers in the surrounding areas freaked out and fled because, they're afraid.
They're coming.
Right.
Yeah.
But then the government sends troops in.
Oh my God.
Right? And ultimately they're victorious because they have weapons, it's just
guns.
Different, yeah. So as far as the charges go, there was a trial. And History.net reported that Colonel Henry Hastings Sibley convened the military commission to try the Dakota. And here's the thing. This is how they did it. They used war crimes as a way to try them in court, right? So this is, instead of just murder or this, they're saying that they committed war crimes.
But can you try people who aren't even a part of your country? They're indigenous people.
Right.
They don't subscribe to your government.
Exactly. So that becomes a thing.
Oh, okay.
So the Native Hope blog explains that the military held trials of 498 men.
Oh my God.
And
out of
303 of them were initially sentenced to death. But the blog explains that this was basically a BS court because there's no evidence, there's no attorneys provided to the Native Americans. There was a language barrier, right?
Yeah.
And the article explained that some of these trials lasted only 5 minutes, some of them.
Oh my God.
It was
Get out of
crazy.
here. Come on.
So the fact that they used war crimes is this misrepresentation because there was no war crime. History.net explains that this was the Dakota's legitimate practice of warfare. This is how they fought war. So in their mind, they're not doing anything wrong. This is their culture. This is how they fight. So, right? It's going in, killing, kidnapping, whatever it is. That's what they do. But it was members of the military commission who the article notes had no military law training who decided that these were in fact war crimes. So they put together a military commission. The people in there have no law training in military law and just decide yes, this is what this is, and they charge these men and declare them guilty.
This is such a wild time too because the country's in complete fucking disarray.
Yeah.
It was really bad up and down the East Coast there.
Right.
It was really, really bad.
Right. And then this is out west,
yeah.
right? So this is happening here, and there's this other thing happening here. Yeah. So, but many people at the time did feel that the Dakota were justified because the U.S. was reneging on the treaties, right?
Hello.
So in the end, 38 of these men were sentenced to death after Lincoln. So they brought it up to Lincoln to review the sentences, and then he whittled it down.
Oh my God.
To say, okay, 38 of these men are guilty, when it should have been none of them, right? And the rest, though, so those men are sentenced to death, and the rest were forced to do this march to Fort Snelling, which I'll get to in a second. So I want to talk about the 38 men, and this part was really it's so incredibly sad to me.
Oh, God.
So 38 of the Dakota, or the Sioux, were executed on the day after Christmas in 1862. In an article found on A History of Racial Injustice, a witness to the mass execution stated that as they placed the nooses on these men, quote, "Then ensued a scene that can hardly be described." This is going to make me so sad. I'm sorry.
Oh, Tina.
And which could never be forgotten. All joined in shouting and singing, as it appeared to those who were ignorant of that language. The tones seemed somewhat discordant, and yet there was harmony in it. The most touching scene on the drop was their attempts to grasp each other's hands. fettered as they were very close together as many succeeded. 3 or 4 in a row were hand in hand, and all hands swaying up and down with the rise and fall of their voices. We were informed by those who understood the language that their singing and shouting was only to sustain each other, that there was nothing defiant in their last moments, and that no death song, strictly speaking, was shouted on the gallows. Each one shouted his own name and called on the name of his friend, saying in substance, "I'm here, I'm here."
Jesus.
And then just killed them all, like in front of all these witnesses.
Oh my God.
So an excerpt from John Weiner's article in The Nation states, quote, President Abraham Lincoln's treatment of defeated Indian rebels against the United States stood in sharp contrast to his treatment of Confederate rebels. He never ordered the executions of any Confederate officials or generals after the Civil War, even though they killed more than 400,000 Union soldiers.
You want to talk about traitors.
Right.
You want to talk about war crimes.
Right.
I mean, holy shit. There would be a whole generations and generations of people that wouldn't live in the South right now if we could fucking finally, if we had killed all those motherfuckers.
And not had monuments and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
And the flag.
Yeah. We're still fighting over heritage.
Oh my God.
Yeah, except your great-great-granddaddy's swinging from a fucking tree somewhere.
Right.
Which is what should have fucking happened. They're traitors.
They're traitors. So in a tweet, Ruth H. Hopkins, also goes by Red Road Woman, she said, quote, "They built a special scaffold to hang them all at once and made Dakota women, children, and elders watch as the crowd cheered." I
was wondering, where are all these women and children? Because these men, whoever's going on the march, you're going to tell us about, and the rest of them are hanging. What's happening with these women and these children?
I know.
Oh my God, that's fucking horrific.
So, as I said, the hangings were at the end of things. According to the US Dakota War website, hundreds of Dakota were sent to Fort Snelling as prisoners of war. The article actually refers to it as an internment camp. And it cites a letter from John P. Williamson, which reads, quote, "I have learned that orders have been issued to convey all the Indians who have not been convicted to the neighborhood of Fort Snelling. They will probably take up their march tomorrow. The men who have been convicted are to be taken to Mankato, for what disposal is not made known," and that's where they were hanged. "It's a sad sight to see so many women and children marching off, not knowing whether they will ever see their husbands and fathers again." And in the end, about 1,700 Dakota people, many of them women and kids, were finally removed from the fort. But news articles cited accounts of what happened when they put them on trains. So they leave the fort, they're putting them on trains to disperse them out of state and basically they lose their home.
Yeah.
And when they're being put on the trains, one account from Samuel J. Brown noted, quote, "Men, women, and children armed with guns, knives, clubs, and stones rushed upon the Indians as the train was passing by, and before the soldiers could interfere and stop them, succeeded in pulling many of the old men and women and even children from the wagons by the hair of the head and beating them, and otherwise inflicting injury upon the helpless and miserable creatures." He also recalled another incident, quote, this time it was, quote, "An enraged white woman snatched a nursing babe from its mother's breast and dashed it violently to the ground.
Oh my God!
The baby was returned to its mother, but it later died, and its body was, quote, quietly laid away in the crotch of a tree, according to Dakota custom." Then they set up about 3 camps, and hundreds of folks ended up dying due to illnesses like measles. And then basically to put the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, the government took away the Dakota's reservation. So even that strip of land, took it all away. They were left with absolutely nothing.
Meanwhile, South Dakota, North Dakota, and that whole area.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So in May of 1863, they were put on steamboats and moved to a place in what's now South Dakota called Crow Creek. But some went to Nebraska and other places. And from what I was reading, a lot of kids who live today, in Minnesota, if you're learning about your state history, they don't really learn the details of this war and what happened to the Dakota there. And then on top of that, you have the generational trauma that this has placed on families, right? Of these Dakota children who are sitting in these classrooms and maybe hearing about this war and you know what I mean? And this is their family heritage.
Well, we don't, why we need to learn about history?
So according to, of course, this Wast Vets article for NPR News, Historians now believe, of course, that several of those hanged were innocent. Like some of them weren't even involved in like the original
what does that matter?
Killing, right?
It's the color of their skin. They get a 5-minute trial.
Right.
Unbelievable.
And the thing is, like, you're not just taking land away, right? When you think about like indigenous people and their culture, like each of these like different indigenous tribes have their own language that's unique to each tribe, their own culture, their own food, their own medicinal practices, like all of this that is like a core to like who that group is.
Right.
And all of that is gone because, and it all comes back to that stupid, the doctrine of discovery from 1493, right? The whole, you can seize the land because it's there, right? Settlers can come in and just take what they want. So the University of Minnesota College of Liberal Arts page on the Dakota War noted that, quote, 150 years after the war, Governor Mark Dayton formally apologized, declaring August 17th, 2012 to be, quote, a day of remembrance and reconciliation. The Minneapolis and St. Paul City Councils formally declared 2013, quote, the year of the Dakota, and they employed the term genocide in their resolution, saying like this is what they did to these
200 years later.
I know. So some points of interest, History.net noted that more lives were lost in this war than in any other of the frontier period, even though it was just 6 weeks long.
Wow. And
in 2017, an artist created a sculpture that was in the shape of the scaffold and referenced the hangings, and the Dakota were like outraged by this, since folks there don't even know the history of the massacre, but you're gonna like recreate the scaffold where these men died. Native Hope wrote about the Dakota Memorial, which is a restorative event that happens annually, and there are horse riders who take this 330-mile ride across the plains to Mankato, where the hangings took place, and then runners do like a shorter, like a 90-mile sort of version of it, and that's where they end up going.
Wow.
And that's the story of one of the largest mass executions in U.S. history. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, wow.
It's fucking terrible. You have, in our state, erasing Black history. In our state, like, we don't learn much about, like, what happened with the Seminoles and, like, you know what I mean? Like, we learn a little bit about them. I think Kids Read the Land Remembered, which kind of glorifies the whole sort of frontier, you know, it doesn't paint the Native Americans in the best light, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I often wonder, you know, what real history are we getting in this state or in any of the states about the indigenous groups that were there and their contributions or ways that we are trying to do some kind of reconciliation for them. It's messed up.
I mean, I'm telling you, this is where you can go all the way back to the beginning of this country, and this is where we have a problem.
Yeah.
This is where it started. But it's also like how humans behave. Like, you can't expect more than this because this is how it is. It's like
we are greedy, selfish people.
Yeah.
That's why, like, when we hear about these aliens, that's the other thing that came out. The aliens.
Oh, I can't believe we didn't bring it up.
Was it you who told me? Someone told me that, like, they're flying by with their spaceship and they're rolling up the window, like, we got to get out of here, man. We want nothing to do with the people on this planet. Let them destroy the planet and we'll come back when it's over. I
was so excited when I'm watching this hearing because I watched them, bitch. And the guy was like, they have biological.
Oh, biological.
And he's like, yes,
matter. Yeah. It was non-human.
Yeah. He goes, yeah, they have it. And I was like, oh.
I know.
I was so excited. I'm so fucking stoked about this.
Like, to release those classified documents. Like, I want to see what they have.
And they should. Why can't they tell us about it?
Like,
what do they think is going to happen? And the worst part is, you know how many people have been, like, accused of being conspiracy theorists and they've known this information and they don't believe them? I mean, they tried on the internet to discredit some of these people, and they're not having it. They're not having it.
It's curious to me how this is going to play out, and but one of them was like, "This is considered a national security threat." I mean, because he was like, because there was something about them interfering. Like, it interferes with, like, the training, the military training and things like that where, you know.
One of the things that was incredible to me is one of the Navy pilots was up there and they're like, it was in Jacksonville. And they were saying to him, like, there is something out there, we're just going to let you know. If you see it, this is what you're going to see. And he's like, well, what is it? They're like, well, it's there. So he gets up there for the first time and he sees and he realizes that it's a spaceship. It's alien. Like, he can't track it. He's looking at it. It's moving in weird ways. It's all over the place. Like, and he saw it like several times. Like over Florida, Jacksonville.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, and the other one was, has any of them been aggressive?
Oh,
have you know anybody's been hurt? And the guy's like, yeah, some of my buddies have been hurt.
What?
Like, they have hit the planes or hit whatever.
Like, deliberately or accidentally?
No, deliberately, like aggressive behavior. They're testing.
Girl.
I'm excited.
Maybe this is what we need.
I'm excited. Come, let's go. What have you been waiting for? Let's go.
Just keep my family intact.
Whatever.
I'll cook you some Italian American.
They don't want
food
this,
so you can try it out.
No,
you never know. You never. I'm trying to get.
Tina, not everything is solved with food.
You never know. They might be like, this is some cuisine I've never had before.
Well, great. What am I going to do? I can't cook.
You just come with me. You're part of the pod.
Oh,
so
my God.
We're going to be like, look, this is the pod of people. We got to stay together.
Ugh.
We're doing the good work on this planet. Go after the Mitch McConnells of the world.
Yeah. But this is the government that they're going to see. Who take me to your leader? They take him to Joey DeSantis.
Oh, my God.
Who doesn't know how to... You know what? He could probably be brilliant with aliens because he can't interact with humans.
Can you imagine, though, like this highly intelligent life form?
Yeah.
Coming to
that we know.
planet.
We don't know if they're highly...
They've managed to make it to Earth, okay? So they got to have... Someone's got to be smart.
And we're so
somewhere.
dumb, we don't even shoot them down.
Right?
What the fuck are we doing?
But we probably don't know how.
Yeah.
You know, probably can't. They move too fast or weird. Who knows?
God.
But they're coming and they look down on us.
Yeah.
With all of our bullshit. You know what I mean?
It's so stupid.
What?
Yeah.
What are they thinking? They're probably like, these idiots.
Yeah.
Or is it like when we look at, little ants crawling around? You know what I mean?
This is what I said to you this morning, too. I saw this great thing. It's like, how about a reality check? Oh, you want a reality check? The hottest days on Earth in the last the hottest 7 days on Earth in the last 100,000 plus years has been in the last week.
Yeah.
The hottest days on Earth in 100,000 years has been this last week. The aliens, you know why we're doing this here?
Listen.
We're preparing. The Earth is melting. They're coming. They're going to come take over.
They're going to come and they're going to be like, no, man, you guys screwed it up. You screwed up the planet.
That was what I was telling you this morning. God was like, I'm going to make them in my image. Right. And then he checks back in, thousands of years later, and he's like, well,
you guys screwed this up.
I did turn the heat up back in the 1970s. I thought they would have gotten a hold of this. And then they see the government going, there's no such thing as heat up. And he's like, you know what? Turn it all the way the fuck up. Let's go. Let's speed this fucking experiment up. I'm done with these dumb motherfuckers now. I'm done with them.
These aliens have come here. They're like, man, we need a place to, settle.
Yeah.
And this planet has all the things that we need, but now they've screwed up the ozone. Now they've screwed up the oceans. We can't stay here. They're probably on their way somewhere else.
Yeah. They probably go, look at these stupid assholes.
Oh my God.
Which is what I do. I'm basically an alien. Just come take me already. Just take me already. I'm ready for it. Oh wait,
I'm only ready for it if they're nice.
We do have a gift. We have a gift to open.
With like Republican aliens. You know what I mean?
No. There's no Republican aliens.
Please.
That's ridiculous.
Can you just be liberal or kind?
Let me tell you something.
Aliens?
Let me tell you something right now. If fucking the Republicans would deny it, there'd be an alien standing on the House floor and they'd be like, "This isn't real." You know what I mean? They would not even acknowledge it. Please.
Well, what if the aliens? Imagine if the aliens are all like crazy cute. You know what I mean? That would be too much for me. Can you just be kind aliens? Like, we have so much like bad people to deal with. I can't deal with bad aliens on top of it. I need good aliens that, you know what I'm saying?
Tina, that's not gonna happen.
What?
They're coming to take over.
I know, but they can still, be
nice.
No,
we're gonna be living in internment camps. That's gonna be it. It's gonna be human internment camps.
God, what are we gonna do? Like dig?
Yes. They're gonna treat us like the fucking animals that we are.
Oh God, no. Can you do it after my lifetime?
All right.
Well, after my kids.
Let's open a gift.
After my grandkids.
We got a gift today.
Now I'm scared. Now I'm gonna go home scared.
Fragile.
Must be Italian.
Annette sent us a gift. Thank you, Annette. We love you.
Oh,
let's open it. It was right on my doorstep when we came home today. Me and Tina. Oh, what is this? Let's see. Woo! Tina, you want to open the card? Tina and Hillary, the sweet angel baby. What did she give us?
Oh, it's a cute little card.
Aww. Tina loves it. What does it say? What?
So they're not in a little pink box, but they are the Ted Lasso recipe. Oh. Delicious. Hope you enjoy.
Oh my God, they're biscuits. Look, the Ted Lasso biscuits. Oh my God, we gotta have one.
Oh my God, I can't. I can't. The Ted Lasso biscuits.
Oh my God, look.
Oh my God, I have to.
You gotta take one.
This is. I feel like I'm. What's her face on the show?
Rebecca.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
buttery,
so good.
Flaky. They're amazing. Ooh, we've got British biscuits. Can you do it with an accent?
Oh, hold on a second. Annette, you've outdone yourself, my friend.
My God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I really was
hoping. This just
made
made the podcast so happy.
When we started the podcast that someone would just send us biscuits. And we'd have biscuits and tea. Oh my God. Thank you so much. I can't take another bite. I'll eat it after.
This is like the most flaky.
Oh my God, it's delicious.
Amazing biscuit I've ever had.
You gotta take some of these home though. Do not leave them with me.
My husband will be so excited.
Oh my God. What is he called again? What kind of file? It's a royal something.
Oh, royalist?
He's a royalist.
Yeah.
Well, that was delicious.
Annette.
Ted Lasso for everything.
We got Ted Lasso biscuits.
I mean, this is exciting.
What? It's so exciting. I never imagined I would ever have a Ted Lasso
Look at how
biscuit.
buttery they are. I just put them down on my paper and left the butter mark. So good.
Thank you.
I need more coffee though to have it.
A tea. You need tea.
I need some tea and a biscuit. By the way, people loved our punk rock episode. I'm just saying. I'm just fucking saying. I feel like we're killing time now, but we don't need to.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, and thank you, Annette.
Thank you.
Also, why isn't anybody else sending us food? Send us fucking food.
What? How dare you?
We're starving.
We're starving. We're hot.
We're broke. We're in Florida.
Come on.
God damn it.
Just send us. Cheer us up.
What's your favorite candy?
Oh. I like dark chocolate.
Okay. Anything with dark chocolate?
Dark, you know, in the 90%.
90% cocoa bean.
Ooh. Yeah, I do. That's kind of.
I like anything gummy.
Ooh.
Swedish fish. Twizzlers. Yes. Send us candy.
Yeah. I want candy.
All right, let's go. We gotta get out of here. It's fucking late. The sun has gone down. Look, it's officially dark.
Ooh.
Let's go.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.